Hey guys, so continuation from Teen Wolf Ep 207, Restraint, from the first one. YouTube just said I can go longer than 15 minutes, so thank God. Now I can continue my conversation. I totally forgot what I was talking about. Anyway, Erica and Styles, that's right, that's what we were talking about. How she was something, I forget what she said, but then Styles was like, well then I can be your Batman. I was like, oh my god, you guys! This is so cool and cute! Ah! I was like, oh my god! You know, and then I just ended it at that. Yeah. Before Jackson and the whole Jackson and Allison, Scott heard Allison's heartbeat during his chemistry test. And I found it kind of funny, when the teacher's like, I'm not letting you go until every single one of those bubbles is filled. Scott just fills in B, 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 B. And I was like, oh my god. You know, it's like that moment where you're like, when you're doing your multiple choice on a test, and you don't know the answer to one of them, and you're like, well, let's see, I haven't chose C in a while, let's do C, or I haven't chose B in a while, let's do B. I so do that every time I do a test, you know, like, if I don't know the answer, I'll be like, oh, I haven't chose this one. And most of the time I get it right, I'm like, swag. Okay. Alright. I get it right. Yeah. And, okay, anyway, so he goes and walks into the room. Jackson's just slipping on his shorts, and Scott and Jackson get into this huge fight. Like that, I was like, holy shit! I was like, whoa, what the hell? You know, no, whoa! I was like, whoa, no, my god! And then all of a sudden, the fucking chemistry teacher just comes out and is like, what's going on here? I was like, you had to ruin a great fight scene. Like, that was like the most perfect fight scene, and you just had to come and just ruin it. Well, actually, Erica and Styles were pulling the two off of each other, but, and you know, Erica is really strong. I was like, well then, she's also a wolf, so herp derp, hello. Now, the mat and the tablet. I found that so fucking sneaky. I was like, you ass. When I saw it, I think he saved it or sent it or something. He's like, oh, you dropped this. I was like, you just picked it up off the floor, did some shit with it, and then that's it. And then he goes and fucking reads it in the friggin' library and says the word out loud, Kanema. I was like, hello? And then Allison, like, looks at him funny, and I was like, oh my god. You dumbass, why would you read that right there? You shouldn't even be reading it anyway. You're not even a part of this. I don't even know why this guy's here. I agree with Styles. He just looks evil. I mean, look at his face. I agree with Styles. 100%. We'll get to that part a little bit later. So anyway, we're going to move on. Scott's mom and Allison's mom. Oh my goodness. When Scott's mom went in there, I was like, okay, what's wrong? You know, she must have been called down because Scott got in a fight and whatever. Nope. She's here to talk about how Allison and Scott are screwing. And the look on Allison's mom's face was priceless. This woman gave, like, the dirtiest look she could give. Like, oh my god. She's like, oh no, thank you for telling me. I'm glad to that. Like, you'd rather just kill Scott and get on with life. Anyway, so we are looking at Peter and Lydia. Well, mysterious dude and Lydia, the hottie, the young hottie dude. And yeah, so like, okay. So, what is up with these two is my question. And what I didn't notice in the last, I think it was the last episode, it was the episode before, how she was looking in the thing, and how the guy was in the picture as Peter Hale, and I didn't notice that until maybe the end when Lydia's piecing it all together, and I'll explain that later. But yeah, that's ridiculous. Where he's like, oh, bring the flower and blah blah blah. Okay, so we'll get more to that conversation later. Let's talk about detention. Detention with Jackson, Matt, Allison, Erica, Scott, and Styles. So the weird thing for me in the detention was Jackson. Jackson going into, I think it was the change room. I think it was the boys' change room. I'm not sure. I just saw him walking into a room. I was like, okay. And all of a sudden the teacher's following behind him. I'm like, bro, sit your ass down. He just needs a break. And then when you see the snake coming out of his eye, I was like, ugh. I was like, thank God I'm done eating my dinner. Like, oh my God, that was so gross. And then they make him put his head down, and he comes back up, and it's like all fine. I was like, oh my God, ew. Like, that was so gross. And now, again, that's what I meant by, or when I talked about it earlier, the last video, how he's getting controlled. I think the snake was in his head and it was controlling him. I guess that's the only way, obviously, that it could come out of his eye. Like, let's get real now. And that went down, so I was like, ew, oh my God, like, and my mom just happened to walk in on that part too. I was like, what else? And she also walked in on the part where Jackson was on top of Allison and stuff, and I was like, oh, really? You know, wrong timing, Mom. And she always seems to walk in on the dramatic scenes. So anyway, Scott and Allison's mom. So when Scott gets called down to the principal's office, the way she was sharpening the pencil and giving him such a look, I was like, oh my God, what is going to go on? And like by the end of the conversation, her pencil was like shorter than ever, and like she's like, are you having sex with my daughter? And she's like sharpening the pencil, and it's like going in and going in, and he's just like, oh, he just had this look on his face like, shit, just lie. And but they haven't, though, not that I know of. You know, in that car scene in the last episode, I don't think they got that far, but I'm wondering where the hell all those other condoms went. It was a 12-pack, and there was one left. That means 11. Hello, where'd those go? You know, unless he's, like, holding them. I don't know, but then he said no, and I was like, oh, wow. She's like, I certainly hope not. I was like, you bitch. Just leave the friggin' kids alone. Okay, he hunts wolves, cry me a friggin' river, build a damn bridge, and get the hell on over it. My God, don't you care about the happiness of your daughter? Well, in this case, I guess she does it because he's a wolf, so, oh my God, you know. So anyway, moving on. Now, Jackson's parents, when Erica is talking about them being in a car accident. I don't believe that. Again, I think the people at the beginning were Jackson's parents, and the Canamar and the hoodie dude just made it look like it was a car accident. And clearly the Canama left the woman alone because she was pregnant. So I was looking at that, you know, and maybe the Canama there is a past Canama. So that's what I was looking at there. And I'm thinking maybe it was the teacher. Maybe it was the teacher. But now he's obviously not. The Canama anymore. Obviously it's Jackson now. So I just found that story a little bit weird, where Erica was just saying, you know, the car accident happened on the 14th and July 15th is Jackson's birthday. So that, like Sal said, obviously means that, forgetting my words now, that it's, why am I forgetting? It's right on my paper. That Jackson's parents died. I don't know if that makes sense, because I totally forgot what I said. Anyway, but yeah, again, Styles is right though. That means she must have had a C-section, since she was unharmed. I'm guessing when she was screaming at the, I think it was at the beginning, where she screamed, I think she went into labor at that second, because again, stress can cause you to be able to have the baby. So I think that was her going, not into labor, but like maybe her water broke or something, I don't know, into labor, I don't know. But the baby was clearly coming, and I was like, oh, snap kicks. So now we're back to Lydia and this flower. Lydia's looking for the flower, and then she goes outside in her bare feet, leaving her frickin' door open, okay? And she looks on the vine thing, and she's like, oh, great, because there's no more flowers. Because, remember, the guy said, oh, you know, bring the flower. So, when she was walking to the house, I noticed she was barefooted, and I was like, how dumb can you get? Like, oh my god, but I think she was in kind of a trance at that point, so I couldn't really blame her and be like, oh my god, you know, so I think she was in trance. I don't think she noticed that she was totally her bare feet. If she did, wow, you know, oh my god. So, she walks to the house, and then the dude's there, and, or Peter, I guess, and he is there. And let me see. And that, I was like, wow. So there was that whole makeout scene between them. And then, yeah. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. So we're on to that retarded teacher, chemistry teacher, that I think is Jackson's master. And this is the part where we figure it out. He says, oh, I'm leaving, but you guys are not, because they had to do the library cleaning, you know, stacking up the books and stuff, and shelving it. And when I saw the car at the end, again I say, it said that it had the sticker thing. And I was like, oh, shit, you know, that's whack, bro. Like, clearly it's the teacher that's Jackson's master. So we're moving on. Jackson and the books. Now, oh wow, the way, like, when it showed out his name on there, I was like, oh wow, what a coincidence, you know. I was like, okay, come on, like, you know, clearly he's seeing things, like, not every book is going to be named Jackson. You know, and when he blinked and it showed the real title and he shelved it, I was like, okay. And then he moves on to the next book and it says, Jackson, close your eyes. I was like, okay, whoa, what the hell? And then it showed the real title, and then he blinked again and it says, close your eyes now. And then all of a sudden, Scott is talking to Allison and Styles, and then they push... I mean, sorry, I was thinking about the beginning where Allison is holding Scott's hand, and then Styles sticks his head through, is like, very evil, and then she just, like, pushes his head back, and he, like, the book smacks him in his face. But, Scott goes to see what's going on in the other aisle so that he could go talk to Jackson, even though there's a restraining order, and there's the book on the floor, and he goes and looks, and Matt is on the floor, and all of a sudden this thing just dashes above on the top part of the shelves, And oh my goodness, all of a sudden you see Scott and Erica just transform into like wolf. I was like, whoa. And then when Scott turned around and Jackson was like half Jackson, half Kanema, I was so disgusted. I was like, ew, oh my god. But he looked so creepy. Oh my god. I was like in my I went, like, when I was done watching, I went to my bathroom and brushed my teeth, and I kept thinking that that thing was like standing behind me. I kept looking in the mirror, and I was like, and then every time I like went down to spit, I came back up and I kept thinking that it was standing right behind me. I was like, oh my god, ew. And that was crazy. I was like, ew, that's so scary. And then when Jackson goes up to the blackboard, oh my goodness, he writes out, "Stay out of my way, or I'll kill all of you." And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, holy fudge, what the hell? You know, that was pretty creepy. And then he just dashes out of the window. I was like, whoa, oh my goodness. And at the same time, Matt and Erica are completely paralyzed, neck down. And I was like, oh no. And then Erica just shoots into seizure form. I was like, oh my god. She was just like she just started seizuring, and I was like, oh shit. That was pretty weird. And then when Scott and Allison, again, so cute, at that part, and then when Scott is holding Erica and him and Styles and Erica Scott carrying Erica walk out the door and the camera's there, I was like, oh no! But at the same time, it was like, oh, true, it's only Jackson that they saw transform, I hope. You know, and saw all that shit go down. So I was like, oh, crap. Of course, there was obviously a camera, because at the other library scene, more to the beginning of the episode, there was the camera. And that was that. So I was like, whoa. So then they take Erica to Derek, and he breaks her arm, and all that blood was gushing out. I was like, oh my goodness, this is such a gory, nasty episode. I mean, I can take blood. I mean, I'm not one of those people who like faint with blood and like all that and get creeped out. But like, I was just like, whoa! He like totally, completely like trashed her arm. But he was right though, to start her healing, to get going, to get her out of seizure form. He clearly had to do that. And I noticed he likes to break arms. You know. In older episodes, he broke Isaac's arm. I was like, oh my god. Actually, I was so sad when he did that to Isaac. I was like, oh no, dun dun dun. So anyway, my question is, where was Isaac throughout this whole thing? Where was he when Erica and Derek were doing that whole thing, and Scott and Styles were doing that whole situation? I was like, what the hell? I was like, okay, whatever. I was like, where is this dude? You know, like, you show him at the beginning and then he's not in it, and it's like, oh my god. So I'm just wondering where he was at throughout all this. And where's the black guy? That other dude, the black dude that was in maybe 2 episodes ago. You know, I was like, where all y'all disappearing to? Like, what? Where'd y'all go? What the hell? So anyway, when, because Erica's lying on Styles, and she's like, Styles, you make a good Batman. I was like, oh my god, perfect for each other. My mom was just giving me, like, the dirtiest look any Jamaican mom could give her daughter. She was like, wow. So now, Scott and Derek, when Scott says he will join Derek's pack, and, but there's a catch, though, because they have to catch Jackson, not kill him, right, because Derek obviously knows that the cannon is Jackson, and they have to do it Scott's way. And I completely agree with that, because Derek wanted to kill the friggin' thing from the get-go. So having Scott there controlling that and doing it his way, I think will be a little bit better for everyone. But at the same time, it's a little scary. Because even if they do catch it, what are they going to do with it? Right? Yeah. Mom's here. Hey, Mom. What's up? Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. I'm fine.
You miss me?
Sure, I'm talking to... Yeah, I'm trying to tell her what's going on Teen Wolf, thank you. Anyway, and then there's Scott's mom and the baby, Mama, which I think is, again, the baby I think is, Jackson. So then, again, I think that's another flashback of when Scott's mom was maybe working in her earlier days, and then when the woman is lying down in the room, all of a sudden this dark shadow comes and suffocates her, and I was like, whoa. So now back to Peter and Lydia in the flower. Peter and Lydia, all of a sudden Peter transformed into his normal form, and that was pretty weird. And he was talking to Lydia, and Lydia just looked totally confused and scared. She had the flashback of Peter in the picture, and seeing him everywhere else in his younger form, not in his normal form of when he died. And then she wakes up with the flower in her hand, and she just smirked. And then it shows underground, and it shows Peter underground, like under the house that she's in. And obviously that house must be the house that Derek used to be in. So that was episode 207, Restraint, Teen Wolf. Okay.